We have many more questions, but we had set aside an hour for this panel discussion. But there's one question that I would like to ask to wrap up this panel discussion before opening up to Q&A is, with the unique challenges of a global career, such as strenuous travel schedules, almost continuous hours of work to accommodate time zone differences, what advice do you have to address the personal, family, and community aspects of managing a global career? I know we've all been there, so Eric, do you have any pearls of wisdom as to how you manage your 4 residences and stay sane?
Well, one which I think is essential, and it's a core of everything else, it's sleep. I mean, I think it's important to stress this because as a civilization of entrepreneurs, that's where we are in Silicon Valley, we are chronically sleep deprived. And if you're sleep deprived, lots of bad things happen to you. Your immune system goes to hell. You don't have the energy to go exercise. Your diet is going to slide, and so on. So I think the most challenging thing to master is good sleeping habits, and it's very true. And when you go around the globe, it's very, very difficult to do that. And you have to accommodate. You have to make some investments in a sort of time zone adjustments when you travel. You have to plan your trips intelligently, such that you always go in the same direction. You have to allow for time for exercise. What works for me is when I'm a runner, so whenever I get to a faraway destination, I try to always start there with a 5-mile run, just to get the time zone adjustments, get in the mood of the place, and get into good sleeping habits. Everything else, I think, becomes easier if you get the sleep right.
Pretty fundamental. Yeah. Thanks. Michael?
I think sleep definitely is a number one issue. I agree with Eric completely. and to me, is other than sleep, how you make sure that you can schedule everything correctly. You don't waste time traveling. I observed before, if I don't do it correctly, even though I'm taking 12 hours flight going to Asia, I don't really get things accomplished the way I wanted. Because well, I'm ready there, other people may not be ready. So how you can plan ahead and make sure everything is ready. Well, you have to go there. Right? And nowadays, because of the Skype, because of MSN, because of all the video conferencing, traveling is becoming less and less. But still have to be there physically to have the person-to-person touch. So planning is one, and number two is you talk about personal and the community, right? See, if you're not away, you cannot serve the community. So you have to come back somehow and figure out how you can really balance the traveling schedules with other activities you have to do. So again, to me, I think it's the planning, and sleeping will keep you sane for sure, and doing something that will help you, mental health. That's what I do. I usually meditate, so that will help you, because otherwise, after sitting on the plane for 12 hours, if you do it twice or 3 times a week, you just sometimes you lose everything. You cannot make any decisions, and when you talk to people, you won't be rational. And sometimes the relationship you have with your team members will be impacted. So do something that help your mental health.
Great, thank you, David.
When I was in my 20s and 30s, I could do everything and not worry about anything. And while you can do it, I encourage you, just go for it. Jet lag, who cares? Lack of sleep, who cares? You can just go through it. Yeah, exactly. I got really sick about three years ago. I caught like double pneumonia because a guy in front of me in the airplane had pneumonia, and that made me think very hard. And there's, there's the personal side, there's the family side, and there's the career side. But let me just preface with, now that, I'm kind of past the halfway mark in my life expectancy, sleep is a major issue, and I've discovered Tylenol PM and Ambien, and it's, when you get on a plane, just sleep. Just sleep, because it can't hurt you. But outside of the sleep discussion, I think there's some sacrifice that has to be made. I mean, you can't, like, for example, I travel internationally, 15 to 20 times a year, and I think people on the panel have probably fairly similar experience in international travel. And I find that, I have 3 kids. When I travel maybe 1 week out of every, 5 weeks internationally. I want to continue to do well. I want to spend time with the family. And what's been dropped, I think when I look back in my life, the last 5 to 10 years, what really dropped is actually a lot of friends. Like high school, college, graduate school friends that, maybe if you had a normal, life working 9 to 5 in the Valley, you may have spent more time on Facebook interacting with them, or, having coffee once in a while with your friends, every couple of weeks. That's just gone, and that's just a sacrifice that I had to make. Am I happy about it? No. Does it kind of bum me out every once in a while? Yes. But I think, after a certain time, if you think that you can balance everything, I think it's impossible. And you got to, figure out what the sacrifices are, make this, just like any CEO, just figure out what the sacrifices are, make the decision, because you only have, 24 hours a day. And, hopefully I'm not depressing anyone out there by telling you this, but, if you are working on a global basis, is this one of those things? I mean, even when you're working in the U.S., Asia wakes up at 5 or 6 p.m. You have conference calls at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. all the time. Sometimes you got to wake up at 5 a.m. so it's before they go to bed you can talk. And I'm sure in Europe, if you have businesses with Europe, it's the exact opposite. And that's just the reality of how the workplace and how people work. And I think U.S.-based folks are going to have to sacrifice more and more because, I think for a large part, headquarters has always been the U.S. for many people. That's going to change. Headquarters may be, a company in China or a company in Japan or a company in Europe, 10 years from now. And, you're going to have to adjust. And so I think it's just going to get worse, so embrace it.
Thank you. Well, I think that with these challenges, the reality of the time zones and all the phone calls coming in and conference calls in the middle of the night and having to jump across, big time zones, it's really important to think about your body, which is sleep, and your mind, which is meditation, and your spirit maybe, which may be your community and your family and your friends. So if we think about it and we really make a concerted effort to maybe try to keep that somewhat in balance over a course of time, that maybe you can have the stamina to withstand the rigors of a successful global career.